Okie dokie. Welcome to my channel again. This is Johnny from where I'm in Pattaya, Thailand right now. So exactly 1 week ago, last Saturday evening, I came to Pattaya after having spent 12 days in Medan, Indonesia. So I made some videos from there, as you could see, from basically from food, from walking, and the kind of things that basically might interest some of you guys. So I wanted to just give a little update about Indonesia as a tourist destination compared to other areas in countries in this part of the world, Southeast Asia. And first of all, as you might have noticed, Indonesia is well worth visiting, absolutely. Um, I would say that my favorite is Bali. Okay. Bali is you get everything there you want. You can avoid what you want to avoid, up to you. In Indonesia, you can stay in the more calm, simpler places. You can stay downtown, which I did actually room similar to this as well in Indonesia for a while in Denpasar, in Bali. It's many years since I except that there has always, at least for the last year, I was, there was a lot of traffic in Bali, and yeah, it's basically an issue, especially along the main routes. But as long as you get out of the main routes, that is gonna be more easy to drive. Depend also on the time. So when it comes to Medan, I was surprised because they have a very good 4 lane, at least 4 lane highway. I think maybe it's like 3 lanes in each direction. I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was 3 lanes in each direction. So when I arrived there, I took a taxi, and yeah, the speed limit was like 100 kilometers per hour, and from the airport and into downtown, I'm not sure, but I think it took like 1 hour, uh, something like that. The price was not horrendous. It was okay, like 20 US dollars maybe. Uh, and then when I left, I took the train. So the train was a big surprise because the train airport link from Medan train station out to the airport is very nice. So I would recommend you if you if you think about safety and comfort, very comfortable the train. Okay, if you are more people, maybe you can share a taxi. So I had a specific purpose to go to Medan because I just wanted to try to find some special spare parts for the old motorcycles. That is like my passion, my hobby. Find a 50-year-old genuine spare parts laying around in some shelves. But it was not easy in Medan. Not many people speak English, and I didn't have a guide. So I was totally alone on my own, but I managed to get some contact. I found one shop, and they were willing to help me with some business, so that's great. Otherwise, I would not stay like 12 days in Medan downtown because it's like, yeah, you cannot walk properly on the sidewalks. And yeah, they have some okay malls and they have a nice restaurants, of course. But the question is how long you're gonna be doing that stuff. By the way, if you see here behind me and there, let me see here. That is a map of Bali on my door there. Can you see? That's Bali, guys. Okay. So Bali is very different in many ways. In Bali, you find Hinduism to be the major religion. Um, Indonesia is a very diverse nation. It's even an artificial nation created by the Dutch colonists. If it was not for the Dutch colonizer, there would be no Indonesia as we know it today. So there are like I think it's like 18,000 islands in Indonesia, and it's amazing. I don't remember now how many people there are, but I think it's like almost or around 300 million people living in Indonesia. Some areas you have are basically hardcore Muslims, like in Banda Aceh in the north of Sumatra, where I was, Medan. It's not so far from Banda Aceh. According to the statistics in Medan, it's 65% Muslims, and the Muslims there are uh, very visible, meaning that the women would be basically going with traditional Muslim clothing, covering their heads and stuff like that, and some of the men maybe also, but especially the women you can see. But there is actually a strong community of Christians in Medan. I think it is like 25%, which is actually very good. And they have more Christians percent-wise in Medan than in my country of Norway. Norway has become an atheistic country where people uh, despise the Bible, despise the Gospels because they have been brainwashed by the atheistic socialistic governments for decades to do so. While when you are in Indonesia, people really respect religion, and it is amazing to see how they are actually able to cohabit, like in the city of Medan. But of course, we know there has been some terrible confrontations through the years. So I don't say that it's all glory and it's all peaceful, because there have been bloody conflicts and bombs and terrorist attacks and so forth through the archipelago. But basically, Indonesians are super friendly, and their language is quite easy to understand. And now they have also the apps, translation apps, which I actually think is a little bit irritating because I like to refreshen my Bahasa Indonesia. So anyway, Bahasa Indonesia is something that the Dutch colonizer they imposed it on their colony. So what they did, they actually decided to take Bahasa. Bahasa means language. So they basically took the language from Malaysia, and they spread it all over Indonesia to be like a public language. So the Dutch didn't force the Dutch language on their people. French colonies, they forced the French language on their colonies, and the British usually they instructed the people how to speak English. But Indonesia, their like national language which goes everywhere in Indonesia is this Bahasa Indonesia, and then you have, of course, a lot of local tribe languages. So what I surprised me about Medan a little bit is that it is affordable, very affordable. Most of the streets are not walkable. I mean, you have to walk in the street because the sidewalks are either non-existing or they are open like canals. They used to be covered with concrete, but it's all broken up. And or whatever, or you're just walking in the road, and the vehicles, they just brush like a few inches from you when they're passing, especially the motorcycles. So, but I like the Medan, the style. It's the real life there. There are no how can I say, like if you come to Bali, it's a lot of hustlers who's gonna say, "Hello, hello, where are you from? Do you need something? Can I help you?" Blah 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 blah. But in Medan, you just you have some of the local like beggars, some kids or beggars in the intersections, like you have in many places, also in the Philippines, which is not related to tourism at all. What surprised me also very much in Medan is the very cheap taxi rides. I took one ride on a motorcycle. That was quite interesting because this guy, he was just driving against the traffic. I mean, it was a one-way street, but he said, "Oh, it's shorter this route." So he was forcing his bike towards the traffic, and sometimes we had to go on the sidewalk almost, because but there's no sidewalk really, you know. But at the margin of the road, while all these cars and motorcycles are coming towards us. Um, and of course, when you are walking on the sidewalk, when there is a sidewalk, you think, okay, I'm safer. But suddenly there's a motorcycle driving on the sidewalk because also it's like a one-way street. So that's the problem. So when they want to go against the traffic, they will just drive on the sidewalk. Anyway, a problem in Medan was that there are not many people who speak English actually. So you really need to learn some basic sentences or use that translation app. Um, what I can say is I think the place, they have a quite high moral standard. So I think it's a safe place to walk in the evening. I think it's uh, the what really like stood out was that all the people in the nighttime, they were staying outside and in the like they will put some tables and chairs on the nicer esplanade along the highway close to where I stayed in my hotel, and they had a lot of coffee bars. It looks like a bar, with a lot of bottles and mixing this and this, but it's all about coffee. So it's a very sober place. Uh, and then everybody's smoking. Everybody's smoking us. So of course, if read a little bit about the history of Medan, coffee and tobacco was introduced there by the Dutch. Okay, and so it is like one of the cradles of coffee in Indonesia, and Indonesia produces a lot of good uh, coffee and very interesting, maybe good tobacco. Somebody say, "Oh, how can tobacco be good?" I think it can be good. Just don't abuse it. It's the same with everything. Don't You can use it, just don't abuse it. Okay. So everybody there were referring to Lake Toba. And I didn't know much about Lake Toba really, but I saw a video before traveling to Medan, and this guy, he said, everybody say you have to go to Lake Toba because this guy, a vlogger, he was traveling to Banda Aceh. He did some orangutan safari in the rainforest, and then he went to Lake Toba. So Lake Toba is the biggest volcanic lake in the world. It's like a, yeah, a huge almost like an ocean, inland ocean inside a huge volcano that they say is like 66, 70 million years ago since this was created in this volcano crater. I don't believe in that timeline, but anyway, the point is Lake Toba. I would really like to go there. If I'm going next time to another time to that area, I will go to Lake Toba. So you can check it out on YouTube, and everybody like either they had been there or they wish to go there. So that's amazing. Somebody here is trying to sell me something at my door. No, 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 no. Oh, sorry. He's got my door is open. He tried to sell me some snacks, biscuits, whatever. So the Thai people are very productive. Asians are productive, going from everywhere trying to make some money. That's good. He was smiling, but I don't like his coming actually into my door here and disturbing me while I'm making a YouTube video. So I really would love to explore much more of Indonesia. And since I'm a Christian, Protestant Christian, I was very surprised and happy that actually the majority of the Christians in Medan are Protestant. So the Catholics are in the minority. I'm not big fan of the Catholic religion. So yeah, just in case you didn't know, huh? To me, that is like a fake Christianity. Real Christianity is based on the Bible, and so I love to visit areas where the Bible is respected and more followed. So I think that in this kind of places you find a lot of conservative Christians with a good moral standard, and yeah, I really enjoy that. And Lake Toba actually is famous because the tribes there, they used to be actually cannibals, and I think they were headhunters anyway. Very, very violent, dangerous tribe. But finally they were converted to Christianity. I think it was basically to Catholicism. Um, but the point is there are not many mosques around in Lake Toba area, and most of the people there are Christians, and it's a very safe place to visit, obviously. Uh, I know that Sulawesi is one of the big islands. It's way further east from Sumatra, and there are a lot of Protestant Christians there in I think it's called Manado, the capital of like northern part of Sulawesi. So there were Protestant missionaries going there back in the days, and so there's a lot of Protestant Christians in Sulawesi, northern Sulawesi. So I would really like to go there, guys. Okay, and then if you want to go to Indonesia, remember you can stay for only 30 days, which has been the practice for many years, and you pay basically 500,000 rupiah, which is 35 US dollars. You pay it on arrival in the airport. You also have to, before you arrive, before you travel, just like maybe 72 hours, I think, before you travel, you have to fill out some app about costume declarations and things like that. So I would wish that Indonesia were not so strict about all this thing, that you could stay a little bit longer. Here in Thailand, you just come now, you don't need to pay anything, and you get now 60 days. 60 days. And as I understand now, Vietnam is opening up for, especially for European tourists, to stay much longer than before. And I think that they have, I'm not sure, but I think they are relaxing the visa rules there. I mean, I know they do. And if you come to Malaysia, as a Norwegian at least, you get 90 days, You have to register some app before you arrive there. Also, that is the standard these days. But Malaysia is amazing, amazing place. So it's very similar to Indonesia in culture wise, but and the language is has a lot of similarities with the Indonesian language. But Malaysia has a much better infrastructure. It's a richer country, but still very affordable. So yeah, I must say that if you want to have a streamlined holiday, I would cannot do anything but to recommend you go to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur especially. But I was also in the on a bus ride across to the east part, Kuantan. It's called Kuantan. People are super friendly there. But if you want a beer in Kuantan, you have to go to the mall, and it's like a special shop inside the mall. You have to cross all the interior of the mall on the second floor or whatever it is, and then it says no access for Muslims. So then you can go inside, you can buy a little bit drink and beer there. That's it, but it's very restricted. By the way, it's also restricted in Indonesia, in the Muslim areas. When I was in Jakarta last time outside of Jakarta and I wanted to have some beer, the guys, my contacts there, they took me to the church because, and they were Muslims, but you know the neighbor to the church, that's where you get the alcohol, the beer in that part of Java, a little bit outside of Jakarta. So, but of course, if you don't want to be a drunkard, don't want to get drunk all the time, Indonesia and Muslim Malaysia is perfect. So enjoy, guys, and hope you will be able to explore Indonesia because it really deserves it. And like I said, the people are super friendly and super nice, and the food is amazing. Okay, thank you for attention, and have a good trip to wherever you want to go. Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines. I just want to say Philippines has, of course, the most welcoming visa procedure, as you probably know. You can just show up in the Philippines and you can stay up to 3 years. 3 years, guys, on a tourist visa. I mean, tourist exemption. Amazing. Then you can leave for a couple of days and you can come back and stay another 3 years. So Philippines win the prize of visa simplicity and hospitality for at least for Europeans and for people from the US. Okay, thank you for your attention. Have a nice day, a nice evening. Bye bye.